Come listen to Three Wise Radio.
I'm trying to decide if I should tell you about it now or if I should tell you about it. I don't like this new interface. It's iOS 10. Okay. I'll tell you now. So we're doing sex appeal of vampires.
Okay.
I have a thesis. It's actually not. It's almost impossible to dispute this thesis, but.
Okay.
But.
I'm excited.
So essentially, I'm going to do a timeline, and we're going to kind of go progressively through vampires in
So starting
film.
like Nosferatu.
Yes, and then working our way.
Gotcha.
Okay.
To kind of prove my point.
Excellent.
So
I'm
I'm
excited.
gonna prove my point. Who's the sexiest vampire? Little known Russian vampire. Von Altenstein. This is bad.
Welcome to Three Wise Radio. My name is Garrett Welker. I'm one of the Three Wise Guys. Joining me are the two Wise Guys, Sam Pixley and Joe Greller.
You don't sound like Joe.
That's because I'm not Joe.
You're filling in.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's okay. Yeah. Not top marks. Bottom marks.
Shit, whatever. Okay.
People say top marks for things, but people say bottom marks? I've never heard someone say bottom marks.
I think maybe it's a low marks.
Low marks?
Then you like shift into a whole other descriptor category. Well, that was just shit. You don't get any marks. Not even bottom marks. Just no marks.
I can tell Garrett is stepping in as host for today because he's letting you talk. So you're not supposed to talk until we introduce you.
No, I was wanting to do that.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce him?
I'll say our guest today is we are joined today by Alex Klier. He's going to be our senior vampire correspondent.
Can I
Or do
talk?
you want to be our senior sexy vampire correspondent?
Now you may speak.
Senior Sexy Correspondent.
Also works. That also
Sure.
works.
So that begs the question, Al, what makes you senior sexy correspondent?
I mean, well, the audience can't tell, but I mean, look at this sweater, man.
You are a
I
sexy
look good in
senior.
this sweater. Yeah, and yeah.
It's one of those new style of like hood,
Not
like
quite,
hood
not
thing.
quite turtleneck, but not quite hood.
Well, I'm
The
not George Clooney.
uncircumcised
I can't
hood.
pull off a turtleneck, all right?
I feel like you
It's a
could.
good look. Anywho, so we should get started with some headlines.
Yeah. What do we got today, Sam?
Well, the big thing, I mean, I don't know if you guys knew this, but New York Comic Con is going on right now. Oh. So I think we'll talk about that next week because we haven't collected enough data about everything that's coming out.
When did that start?
I don't know, like
Oh,
yesterday.
okay.
It's
Yesterday or today.
Okay, I was gonna say if
Were you just in New York?
I was.
You fool.
I got back on the 4th. So, oh man, if that had been going
Well,
on.
New York it's much harder to get into. Not like it's prestigious or anything, but it's much harder. The lines are much longer. It's a little bit bigger than the Chicago Comic Con.
yeah.
So I thought what we would do is take a look at the big 3 trailers that came out today and kind of see what we thought about them.
Okay.
Let's start with kind of the outside one, The Great Wall, starring Matt Damon as your signature white hero.
in a Chinese.
There really
Yeah.
is nothing like a white guy showing up in another culture and be like, I'm here to save the day.
I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm excited for this movie. It looks badass, like a lot of cool action and whatnot. It reminded me of, what was that game that like Jeremy and Preston used to play it all the time. It's like on PS2. It's like Dynasty Warriors.
Oh,
It
yeah.
reminded me of
Yeah.
Dynasty Warriors. That's what I thought it was.
That is a game with zero plot.
Well, yeah, but that's
It
why
has
they would
so
have
much
so
plot.
much.
The plot is avoid Lu Bu.
No, the plot. It follows actual battles in Chinese history.
Sure.
But
Yeah, but that's what I thought it was. And then, yeah, Matt Damon shows up. I'm like, this doesn't really... And then his voice just sticks out as just the
Yeah.
whitest voice in all the
Well,
world.
also, it's not even... He's supposed to be a Brit.
Is he?
Yeah. I'm fairly certain he's supposed to be a Brit. I don't think he's supposed to be an American guy coming over using a bow and arrow.
well, his voice says otherwise.
Yeah.
So
I believe he's supposed to be a Brit, but I'm not sure. I'll have to do the math.
Well,
on it.
then, Matt Damon is officially a bad actor.
This trailer was better. Maybe he was too focused on his water campaign or whatever it is he's been pushing for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Was better than the teaser. Do we think we want to see this? I'll see it at a matinee at best.
yeah.
What? Not IMAX 3D? Spend
No.
$20 to see it? No?
Or if we don't have a segment coming that time and we can say, all right, let's do this, and then we can do a review of the best archers in the history of movies. Then we can see it. But that's a desperate pull.
That's
You're reaching.
Yep. All right, so mixed reviews. Joe, anything on that? Right on. All right, so next up we got the 2 more that are bigger deal. I'm going to say... I'm going to go John Wick, because honestly, Power Rangers was cool, but then I saw John Wick, and I didn't give a shit about Power Rangers anymore. Thoughts on John Wick 2?
I still need to watch John Wick 1.
God
What?
damn it, Garrett.
What?
I literally watched the trailer and then went on my computer and started watching John Wick because I was so
For the
excited
20th
about
time.
it. We will have to have a John Wick, Ghost Rider, all the other movies that we've said we need to watch with you.
I've seen Ghost Rider. I haven't seen
Not
Spirit of
Vengeance, the better one.
All right, so John Wick was the first one. It was so good, and I didn't expect it to be that good. I just like
don't
went
think
into
anyone
it.
did.
Like,
That's the allure.
Exactly. It came out of nowhere, and the best. If anyone listening at home, if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, go back and rewatch it, and then try and keep up with his kill count.
It's excessive.
So in Taken, Liam Neeson's total kill count in the first one is, I think it's like, comes to like 27 confirmed kills with like a possible like 5 kill error, like
Right, but
margin
that's
of
all
error.
fluff. Who knows?
Exactly. But Keanu Reeves in John Wick surpasses that number in like the first 30 minutes. It's not even funny. Like the first fight scene, Liam Neeson's a pussy.
Well, he's John Wick.
Exactly.
I'm
so good.
I'm so excited for this. He has a bigger dog that wasn't killed as a puppy. Very exciting. I think you know what I think actually gets me so much of this. It's a dual thing of you always forget how great of a physical actor Keanu is, so it feels legitimate. And the other one is if I go and see a James Bond movie, Bond's not going to die. Bond's going to win. With this, I'm legitimately scared that he's going to die because who knows. I mean, obviously, if this one's probably going to make a lot of money because John Wick made a lot of money, but like this is a character that is just out of thin air, could die.
Yeah.
So I'm invested.
Because in the first one, he basically had a death wish, didn't he?
More or less.
Yeah, more or less. And then I guess the tagline for this one is to get out. You've got to get back in.
Oh, of course. One less job.
He doesn't. He's not. Is he going to be able to have a line that's as good as "I'm thinking I'm back"? Because that line,
That's
we
right.
were all. That was.
I'm thinking I'm back.
We were waiting for that line the whole movie.
So good. I love that Keanu has settled into his character. So like, his type.
Yeah.
Like you have actors like Mark Wahlberg who like I love Mark Wahlberg as his character, like badass, East Coast cop, and then also occasionally doing badass
Funny
East
man.
Coast cop with like Will Ferrell and other guys. That was fucking hilarious. But he's making fun of his own character. But then he'll like do
Then he,
something
like,
like The
brings-
Happening where like you're trying to play a charming school teacher. I don't follow. And now Keanu has officially been like, you know what?
I'm just gonna be
This
this
is who I am.
badass shoot 'em up dude.
I'm an action hero.
Write movies around me. Do it.
And you know what? They can do
And
it.
they do it.
So I'm super stoked for that. Let's talk Power Rangers.
Please.
Saban's Power Rangers, right?
Saban.
Sorry, fancy boy. Saban.
Well, I get it. You're filling in for Joe and his mispronounced words.
you know what? You're right.
Someone's got to do it.
Saban's Power Rangers. Let's say the Power Rangers. The first thing I thought about this, everybody's saying that it looks great. I think it does. The only problem that I have with it is the Power Rangers aren't the fucking Breakfast Club. And that move, the first 30 seconds was like just a bunch of ragtag kids that, oh man, I'm breaking the law. My dad's too tough on me.
Yep.
We're all in. Apparently they go to a school that's not their school on Saturdays.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't
In
catch
the
that.
beginning of the trailer, the guy's dad was like, "Now you got to go here every Saturday," and then the girl's friends is like, "So this is where you spend your Saturdays?"
Well, it's that, or they're either real people with real problems, or they are real problems, or they are what they were in the original TV show, which was a sitcom where they go to the same. It was basically like Friends with superpowers.
but they were also all fitness people to begin with.
That's
in the
true.
original
It was-
Power
yeah,
Rangers.
they go to a gym.
Yeah, the gym / smoothie parlor
Yeah.
was their original hangout spot.
Yeah.
I believe that was their only set.
Yeah.
That and outside.
Multiple
In a
parks.
quarry
Just parks
somewhere.
and playgrounds from different angles. Thoughts? We think it looks good.
I mean, it looks pretty good. Like, I'm glad we finally got to see some footage. That was one thing that I was like, I've been really skeptical about. I was like, how is this gonna look? How is this
Yeah.
gonna play out? Like, but I mean, like, I'll see it.
Yeah, because we talked about, or at least we mentioned the James Van Der Beek one earlier before we started recording, and that one was like, it was fun as like a little minute throwback. You're just like, oh, cool, this is what it could be like. And now this one is taking it to a whole other extreme. I'm wondering how it's gonna hold up because like I'm gonna go see it. It looks good enough.
Yeah. Do we
and
like
it harkens back to childhood. Pulls on the nostalgia strings a little bit. But
do we like that they've all essentially gotten the super soldier serum now? Because that wasn't an original thing. Now they're all beefy. I think you need it because of escalation. Like
Exactly.
where we're at nowadays, if somebody's not able to do something
it's
exceptional,
it's like throwing in Adam West with the Superman Batman that just happened. It's like it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yep, very, very true. Speaking of Adam West, not Adam West.
Oh damn.
Damn it. Old white guy, though. Speaking of old white guys, William Shatner will voice Two-Face in the Return of the Caped Crusaders sequel. So
Which
the
what?
Batman,
Which
the
will have
Batman's.
Adam West is the voice of Batman, right?
That's where the connection was.
Okay, there it
Bam,
is.
tag team. So apparently, Caped Crusader. I don't even know if it's out yet, but they're getting another one already, and William Shatner will be voicing Two-Face. I'm not sure that fits.
I'm excited, but not sure where who made that judgment
What's the
call.
connection?
It's not even like yes, he's a big name actor, and like a lot of the nerd community will get it. But why, like as someone who actually casts people, why William Shatner and why Two-Face?
Yeah.
Of all the things.
I think Shatner's actually gotten to the point now where his voice is a little bit older, if that makes sense. Where you can tell when he speaks that he is a little older.
He's just
5
got some
years
gravity.
ago, like 10 years ago, when he was on Boston Legal. Sure, Travelocity. He didn't quite hit that point, but I think we're starting to get to that. And I don't think Harvey Dent usually doesn't come off as an old.
No, he doesn't.
In fact, the opposite. So
He comes off as Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. to a T. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, The Punisher. More casting was announced, but most importantly, Jigsaw was confirmed.
Who?
Didn't say. As well as his other characters. So it looks like we are going to kind of get that evolution.
Micro's been cast. I don't remember who the actor was. Jigsaw was cast, but they didn't say who the actor was. Or at least the article I read didn't.
So it sounds good. This is a route that I know Joe really enjoys, is we're going down the route of he's fighting thugs and the mob and things like that. Right. And then there's not like a wild escalation like, oh, now there's aliens. But it's like now we have these, it's kind of the Batman thing. Now we have these eccentric characters coming out of these positions because why not? There's a guy called the Punisher that runs around.
True. Yeah. Joe, is that true? Do you really, is this an avenue you enjoy?
He's pushed for that. Cool. He's definitely pushed for that.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing we're running into with Spider-Man right now, where it's like you're not quite at those like super off the wall.
Is it 10%?
Oh yeah.
Damn.
Whoops.
Hell yeah.
Those super off the wall villains, but you're kind of in the low high tech villains.
Yeah, keep it small scale. Like Jigsaw should just be a person that's exceptionally good at what he does and is a little different.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like he can pull Jigsaw tattoos off of his body and throw them like flaming playing cards or anything like Arrow tried to do. That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like keep in the realm of your
world.
believability.
Yeah. So I read an article, and I'm gonna run this by you guys. Apparently, at New York Comic Con, during the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel, the guy that created Punisher, I don't remember his name, he was at their panel.
Really?
Yeah. And when people ask, like, why are all these people that, at least to this point, have not been involved in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., why are they here? Jeff Loeb was just like, yeah, well, you'll just see. You'll see.
Stuff.
You'll see.
So can't mix those worlds. Nope. Punisher ain't showing up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because then all the agents are dead. Even they're all dead.
Would you want to see a reverse of that, though?
Nope. Keep it separate. You don't
want to see Clark Gregg popping up in Punisher?
I'd want to see Clark Gregg.
No,
no one else though.
Because Clark Gregg was ripping on Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider movies at New York City Comic Con.
Was he?
Yeah, he said that he's like, when I first heard we were gonna have Ghost Rider, I was like, I've seen those movies and not sure that that's something I want, but I think what we did was really great. Get the fuck out of here. I don't appreciate when DC people will rip on DC and when Marvel people will rip on Marvel. Like, respect what's come before you to help make what you are today.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I totally.
There would be no Avengers without Nick Cage and Eva Mendes.
I
think that's nope. Shut up. Moving on.
It wouldn't. They wouldn't have realized that, like this is
what we did wrong.
Yeah, they saw what they did wrong, and now they were able to fix it from there.
Fair enough.
They're like, this is what we don't do.
That's what I'm saying. The last news, kind of Iron Fist and the Justice League have both wrapped filming.
Yeah.
And they came out with a fun little video for the Justice. Did anybody watch the Justice
didn't
League
get to watch
video?
that one, no.
It's essentially like, hey, we have fun like Marvel does too, which is something that you think like you don't see those videos where people are on set having fun.
Yeah.
And you see that in this, and it's very
It's
refreshing.
like them dancing around or like
Oh,
joking.
yeah, like,
or,
I saw a gif of it's like Aquaman, Flash, and Wonder Woman all like getting ready to go into battle, and it's just like an outtake of Jason Momoa like twirling his staff around, and he like drops it. And he's like, ah, shit.
So then he
takes
Wonder Woman's sword.
and he's like, ah.
The biggest thing that I got out of it was I thought I saw a genuine smile from Ben Affleck, which I don't think I've ever seen. Think about it. In interviews, doesn't it always seem so forced?
Yeah. Forced or like reluctant. He's like,
Yeah,
all right.
it's always like, yeah,
here it is.
I want to go. So that's kind of the big headlines. Again, we'll bring more Comic-Con news if there's anything that we
For next
believe is
week.
of merit next week. I know things are going on right now, but we'll communicate that later.
Cool.
And coming up next, we're gonna have some sweet news on vampires.
Oh,
Sexy
yeah.
vampire.
It's
Sexy
not again. It's not news.
One wise radio, two wise radio, three wise radio.
So, in honor of October, which is Anti-Premarital Sex Month,
Is it?
horror movies.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you want to live, Al, you do not have premarital sex.
I
Not this month, but other than that, like do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Get yours.
Purely in terms of survival,
Okay.
you don't do it. But we're going to have a segment each week with Al talking about different horror things and just whatever we feel like talking. And this week, I wanted to kind of prove or pull up a point, and that is that vampires have got a bad rap in terms of sexuality.
A bad rap?
A bad rap. I feel like over the last kind of, and this is mostly because of Twilight, but we'll go into it. There's been a lot of push of people saying like vampires. Remember when vampires were scary and creepy, and now they're just uber sexy and things like that. Vampires are extremely sexual and have almost always been.
Yeah.
But I think now it's become more not sensual because that like leans in a romantic direction. But well, I guess it's
Boy, does it.
No, I
But-
think that'd be the right.
But no,
word
like
for it.
they've in the past, like when vampires were first around, or like the myth became more popular, it was sexual in like a carnal way, like an animal way.
Like a seductive way too.
Well, yeah. But like now it's become like ooh, teen angst,
personal-
sexy.
It's become there's no like ambiguity to it.
Look
there's
at my
there's no
high
subtlety
cheekbones.
to it. It's look at these pretty things.
Exactly.
But also I think that's a thing where if you take, I think Twilight tips the scales in favor of that, and I think if you actually look at it, during the whole time, vampires have also been, there's been scary versions of vampires. It's just that media and things like that have been pushing those movies so long for that time that you don't really see it.
True.
It's Anne Rice. Yes, I live.
Who's Anne Rice?
Anne
It's
Rice.
alive!
Anne Rice wrote the Interview with the Vampire series and Lestat. So it's the first time ever that a vampire was used as a hero. And once the vampire got used as a hero, it became the sexy, brooding,
I thought that was David Boreanaz.
overstitched. I mean, he's a
He's a product.
he's a product of that. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, he was the first one on television to do that. And then you have Pattinson, who's the first one, not the first one on film, because I guess technically that'd be. Was it Pitt or Cruz? Who played Lestat?
Cruz.
Cruz was Lestat, but Pitt was also in that.
Yeah, but you know, so you had to do something when you made them the hero.
I don't think.
So the
he still
sexiness
wasn't
turns
the
from
hero
like
in
a
that.
seductive to
Well,
no,
we'll
no,
talk about
Cruz
it, though.
wasn't, but like, oh yeah, Cruz kind of is to a certain
He's
extent.
not the. Oh, Pitt is definitely the protagonist, in that,
Right.
for sure. But yeah, well, he becomes like a feature character, and like to a certain extent, you do sympathize.
But the film isn't really like the book.
You
Well,
sympathize
apparently.
with him, but you don't like. There's also some other vampire stories that you sympathize with.
True.
Them.
Apparently, Queen of the Damned is closer to
Oh, Aaliyah,
those books
R.I.P.
than the other ones. But yeah, that's why.
All right, so let's start off with this then, Sam.
So basically, I just wanted to start from the beginning, and obviously in folklore, vampires were not originally sexy. They started out as kind of. I mean, there's myths for for thousands of years talking about vampires, and they usually come off as like a bloated demon kind of figure. Well, it's because they're ingesting so much blood, so there's kind of a tick-like thing. But the first really big thing that we get from vampires in terms of film is Nosferatu. Let's see, 1922, Count Orlok.
Because they want to do the Dracula story, but don't have the rights.
Right, and they actually, like, later on, they actually got sued for it.
Yeah.
And all copies were deleted, and it wasn't until 1994 that we actually got the movie back,
Huh.
which I didn't know.
I think I remember something like that because I think I remember TCM like having a big deal that they were able to show it one time. I mean, but you want to talk about someone who looks scary. Like,
He's creepy.
Yeah.
He's not sexy at all. I would give him no sex factor.
Well, to each their own.
Are you into?
wait.
No, I'm not, but I'm saying.
Wait, what about, let's tie it into last week, Willem Dafoe?
No, and also not sexy.
I was just looking that up because there's a picture
Great
of
movie.
Willem Dafoe. Yeah,
That was last
Um,
week's cast, though.
But I would say not sexy and purely creepy. So it does start out in a purely creepy fashion.
Yeah.
yes,
Correct. And also that was the first depiction of a vampire being destroyed by sunlight, which actually caught on. And then after, I believe...
Really, that movie was the
Yeah.
Really?
And it wasn't even, I believe, based on my minimal research, that the closing sequence changed from a traditional stake to death by sunlight, and that's what kind of brought it on in other films. And it became such a staple that they were like, yeah, it's always been like that. Sunlight. Why not?
Well, I mean, it follows. They're creatures of the night. Blah 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 blah.
They are creatures of the night. Then we bounce to 1931, and we get into Universal's Saga of Dracula, which is like a 6-part saga. But it starts with, of course, Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Probably the most iconic Dracula that you ever have and will
I mean,
have.
all the MGM movie monsters. Those are like the archetypes.
Super iconic, yeah. But I would say sexy. Do we say sexy, Bela Lugosi?
Yeah,
He's a handsome man.
Yeah, tall, handsome guy,
especially
slick
for the
back
time.
hair.
Especially for the time?
Yeah.
Real good looking.
Yeah.
Everybody remember the last time they saw those movies? They're
Actually,
so ingrained in my head as a kid.
3 years ago. No, wait. Well, we've lived in Chicago for 4 years now. Like 5 years ago. Because I was still living in Cape.
Me and Brandon Kasinger, who's been on before, we watched
Dr.
it
Cass.
like 2 years ago.
It's like, obviously not a lot happens, but it's a pretty compelling movie. And it's an interesting relationship because you do get like, it's not like he's the bad guy and it's just there's going to be these few interactions with him like you usually see now in vampire movies, but there's like, we're all sitting down for tea.
Yep, he's a
And
he's a full-blown
He
character.
is a character, and they're like discovering this mystery, and it's unfolding in front of you, and it's a high intensity situation because everything's right there.
Yeah.
But I thought it's a very compelling, but also he's very sexy.
Now, was part of the vampire lore originally like that they have powers of like, I don't want to say seduction, but kind of like
Persuasion.
persuasion and borderline manipulation?
Honestly,
or is that something that developed over
Yes.
time?
There's myths from every single culture. When it kind of hit in the early 18th century, as far as in the Western world, yes, they did have a kind of alluring
So I mean,
ability.
that would make sense that like this like definitely holds with your theory of like they should be able to even just like put on a mirage or some sort of image on themselves,
A glamour, if you will.
a glamour to like make themselves more appealing. So maybe it's not necessarily such like a possession manipulation sort of thing, but like it's just they are able to appear more seductive.
And that's kind of what you get at, and we can kind of take a break with going down the road here that we've seen kind of the two biggest archetypes that you're going to see. You've got the Nosferatu, the creepy, and you've got the Bela Lugosi, which is a little bit classier. He's wearing a tux all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, but a nice penguin tux. Looks real good.
I mean, if I'm gonna be a creature of the night, if I'm gonna kill people and suck their blood, I'm gonna look good doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess what I'm just trying to get is why have vampires lasted so long? They are the biggest monster in terms of zombies caught on and were there for a while. Werewolves are a thing. Undead's a thing. But like vampires will never go away. What makes them so alluring? Because I personally think that ties in with the sexiness.
It's the same reason Batman is such a huge thing. It's the darkness inside of all of us. Like, you can't just be a good person. There's always that like bit in the back there of like, what if I just gave in to this bad thing? What if I just let it happen? Like, it's
What's the rewards? Eternal life.
exactly.
It's eternal
strength.
youth, basically.
Yeah.
Eternal youth, depending on when you get bit.
Don't know if you guys can test this or not, but a lot of times I make a deal with people I live with, and it's like
For eternal youth.
no, it's like zombies. You kill each other right away. Vampires, you see how that one plays out.
All right, that's fair.
Could be good. Yeah, I think it just has a lot to, and it's the intimacy of the kill because it's not always guaranteed that they're just going to kill you and eat you. It's
Being turned.
being turned.
Turned.
So I think it's a very interesting character and something that secretly you all kind of think about the longevity of life.
I also think a lot of it has to do with them being like in terms of lore, like the oldest sort of creatures. I feel like their lore goes back further than like undead. Like everything's gonna have like its own undead story, like stuff coming back from the dead. But like, there's always like vampires. There's always like an alluring.
It's very easy. It's very easy to adapt those from the ancient, because usually they originally kind of spawned from demons and things of that nature, and it's very easy to transport like the consuming of souls and your energy and your life force to your blood, your essence, your humanity, things like that.
Some of it starts from the plague. When vampires become really big, is because you would have a disease or something that would kill out an entire town, and these people would be buried, not examined or whatever. And next thing you know, like they would say like, oh, they saw so-and-so walking through the graveyard at night, or oh, we saw them at so-and-so's house the other day, maybe not even knowing that this person was dead, mistaking someone else. And then they go, no, that person died. And they would dig them up, and there would be blood running from their mouth because their corpses would become bloated and start to bleed and come out. And then they'd be like, oh, we saw them with them. Well, this person also gets the plague. They die. And then you think they become... That's why it is
Classic
a
mistaken
stake.
identity.
It was the original way to kill them, is because you're supposed to stake the dead person to the ground so they cannot
them pinned
rise at night.
Also, I wanted to bring this up a minute ago. The whole idea of vampires having like the ability to entrance you, basically, just like to lure you in. Like in my mind, it probably comes from like Salem witch trials. Whenever someone would be accused of like dealing with witches, they'd be like, "Oh, they made me do it.
I was bewitched."
Yeah, they used their magic on me. I had no choice." And like it's probably something along those lines. I'm like, no, I didn't actually do this thing.
Extreme peer pressure.
I was tricked. That's what it was. That's it.
Bamboozled even. No, yeah, there's credibility there. It's just very, very interesting. We jump ahead into 1957, which is the transition from Universal's Dracula to Hammer Dracula, which is kind of a different animal. But we get Go ahead.
One second. So the Bela Lugosi one, was that the first Dracula movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where Dracula officially, like, I mean, he's been in books and whatnot, but like this is where he comes onto the popular
and then there's several follow-ups. Dracula's Daughter, Son of Dracula. I think he did 4 or 5 at total for them. Then we get actually we go south of the border and we get El Vampiro.
Ooh,
1957, which is Count Carl de Louvade, and that's actually the origin of vampire fangs on film. Yeah. So if you think about it, Lugosi doesn't have fangs.
No.
He just
really
Nosferatu didn't have fangs either, or like he had like.
He's got little
teeth,
nibblers, but not the
He's just got weird.
Not the canine, the classic that we think of today. So that was actually the first depiction of it. But if you look at pictures of him, while not a handsome man by today's standards, still a good-looking guy, still
suave,
seductive,
older gentleman,
still wearing a tuxedo. Why do vampires wear tuxedos? I don't know.
It was a sign of richness back in the day, especially
if somebody approached you in a tuxedo today, it was like, "Come to me, child," I'd be like, "Nah."
Today, but in 1930 or 50, you're like, especially the 30s, you'd be like, I don't have any money. Maybe this guy's got some money. All right.
That's
yes, I will follow you into the alley, sir.
Well, also, like, I mean, especially back then, but like throughout, if a homeless person comes up to you, is like, come to me, you're not going to go with them either. You're going to go with the nice looking rich guy.
He's right there.
Back in the day, you were either homeless or wearing a tuxedo.
That is a proven fact.
Or a lady in a nightgown. Because apparently that's all women knew how to wear back in that time.
Yep.
For the sake of these movies, nightgowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, in these movies, you've always got 3 people. You've got the handsome, well-dressed vampire. You've got the lady wearing next to nothing. And then you've got the old guy hunting the vampire.
Van Helsing / variation of Van Helsing.
Exactly.
So then moving on, we've got actually a person who's played Dracula more than Bela Lugosi. Does anyone know off the top of their heads from the Hammer series? He's very famous.
Chris Lee?
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. Christopher Lee.
Deads.
In Dracula. Yes, he is dead.
Cheers.
And I believe he was there were 7 sequels to Dracula, and I believe he appeared in 6 of them. So like 7 times, but I think he's appeared as Dracula 9 times.
Jeez.
Now, granted, I don't know Bela Lugosi's Dracula forwards and backwards. I've not even seen any of Chris Lee's
I've
Dracula.
seen bits and pieces. They're weird, man.
But
yeah, Hammer's is a funky thing, man. They make it a little psychedelic, and
and you want to talk about over sexualized maybe sometimes.
They go from what I'm trying to think
almost
of what
pulpy.
Yes, absolutely.
Very
That's
good.
a good word for it. As like he's still kind of got the sexuality going a little bit, but there's a lot more like
gratuitous.
Yeah,
almost.
gratuitous everything.
Yeah.
Blood, sex, violence.
But
Like, it's
also,
all
like,
there.
Chris Lee's voice and his appearance, like you watch him in the fucking James Bond, Man with the Golden Gun, like
Yeah.
handsome looking dude.
That would have been
then
around
also
that
his
time, a little
voice.
after.
He's tall.
he's-
he's authoritative.
Oh yeah,
Controlling. And I think that's a big
I'd
thing.
follow
for them.
that voice if he was wearing a tuxedo. Look at that, dude. That's scary.
Well, yeah, he's scowling, but when he's not,
But that's still like
yeah, it's intimidating.
Terrifying. And I'd say that Chris Lee could mesh that like suave guy who's gonna seduce you, and then also like just that picture right
Could
there.
kill
Tear you to
like,
shreds.
I'm scared shitless right now.
Yeah, I'll give you. I would be much more terrified of Chris Lee's killing of me than I would Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
So I think
Oh,
Bela would
yeah.
be gentle
Well,
about
because
it.
he's
It would definitely work. It'd be dead, super dead, but a little
he'd
more
be
gentle.
super dead.
but I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I'd stare into his eyes as it happens.
So sexy, not as sexy as Bela Lugosi, but still sexy.
Yeah.
For like ferociously sexy. I think that's what people, no. That's the thing. All right.
No,
so,
that's
so
exactly-
people people say sexy and they immediately picture like Victoria's Secret models, like Channing
Beckham.
Tatum, like Magic Mike type
Channing
stuff.
Tatum is ferociously sexy.
But like that, people seem to underestimate how sexy being like ferocious can be. Like
Well,
because
it's
a
you said
different kind
earlier,
of power.
primal.
Exactly.
Like
primal,
there's
carnal,
that
yeah.
like it's like as much as anybody would like to admit, like part of sexuality is or being sexy to some people is power, strength, ability. Like,
and that takes many different shapes. Now we're just talking about sexuality.
well, that is what you
Good
are
thing
the
you're
expert of,
sexy
right?
correspondent.
Yeah.
So yes, moving on, we can get out of that. Actually, we're still right into it. So 1960s and early 70s, we just had a little bit of more of the same. But apparently, there was a pretty big explosion of, and we won't cover this for long because it's not that interesting, of sexploitation in the vampire genre. With there was a heavy influx of lesbian vampire movies.
Nice.
Sounds about right.
Well,
Yeah, and it's well, what's interesting about it is that it's actually based on an author Leigh Fauna's book Carmilla, which is about a lady that is like constantly harassed by a female vampire, written before Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Really?
which is where everything's based.
Yeah.
She is based off of I can't think of her name. There's a famous countess in like Victoria, either England or it's during the Castle era or whatever, and she would bathe in blood for like and consume. She would kill her servants and either consume or bathe in their blood to try and stay forever young. Because she thought that it gave her like mystical
It's
powers.
similar to
Yeah.
how Dracula is based off Vlad.
Yeah.
I mean, everything comes from something.
Right.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Like, that's a story that was before Bram Stoker's, and I hadn't heard of it.
So this is the 70s when this
60s,
is?
early 70s.
Okay, so I imagine that the only movies that were made in the 70s were
Smut
were
movies. Smut
porn.
movies.
And
It was
then-
porn
and
before
then
porn was
Jaws
super
or
easily
something.
accessible. You're not wrong, because I looked for I've been searching for historic vampire movies from the 70s, and one
Blacula.
was called Lust of Dracula. I'm like,
God.
Oh yeah.
this is just porn, but the internet isn't around yet. Get out of here.
I mean, again, then we come back to, and then I think this is where vampires and the sexiness really starts. Like it takes hold, grabs, and just launches. From here, it's only up.
We're getting there, but also when we're looking at into the 80s, there's also a counterculture that comes from the 80s.
Really?
Yeah, where you get things like Fright Night and The Lost Boys, which if you remember those, The Lost Boys, Kiefer Sutherland is not sexy in that movie. They're like biker gangs that are vampires. So I think
there might be some
bad
people
boy
that would
sexy.
disagree with you on that.
Kiefer Sutherland is a sexy man back in the day, but not in that.
They're going for more like a bad boy.
It's kind of like it's a counterculture. I think it's also a response to just the sexuality of vampires. Like, let's
True.
make these people fierce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely were.
And Fright Night, you also have a lot of it was very popular at the time to have. I'm totally blanking. Not CGI.
Prosthetics.
Prosthetics and practical effects, which I obviously am a big fan of.
Oh, yeah.
But practical effects were really big at that time, and so they were really pushing the boundaries with that, and facial prosthetics and everything like that to make things look creepier and more sinister. And they just really hit it. The 80s were all over the place, but I think you could say that for any genre in the 80s.
True.
I don't think there's any kind of solid thing with that. Let's see. Then we jump into the 90s. We start going back to a more traditional tone where we have
'Cause
like
then
Interview
you-
with a Vampire, Dracula with Gary Oldman, Bram Stoker's Dracula. That
yeah.
movie, what the? Both those movies, if you
That's
watch,
Keanu, right?
them, if you watch those two movies back to back, you could make a flight from Chicago to Australia. Those movies are like 8 hours long.
Yeah, they're
Good movies.
I mean,
Actually,
the
Dracula.
book
is,
itself is long. It's
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wait, the Keanu Reeves one you talking about?
Yes.
Gary Oldman? It's entertaining.
Gary Oldman's in
It's
it.
I'll leave it
Keanu
at that.
Reeves
Yeah.
is in it.
Nothing else.
Anthony
It's
Hopkins is in
entertaining.
it.
It's not good.
Isn't Hopkins Helsing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
Yeah. That movie is. I don't even,
It's great.
It's not even a movie, man. It's just all over the place.
It's a saga.
But you know,
Yeah.
Interview with a Vampire is pretty good. Honestly, the last time I watched it was with Steve, who's been on the podcast before. We went to a bar, and when we got there, Interview with a Vampire was playing, and when we left, it was still playing. Wow. And we were there for a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
That movie is long.
Yes, it is.
But also
Very
really good.
Very good.
And I hadn't, for the longest time, I was like, Interview with a Vampire, and that movie poster with
Little-
with Tom Cruise like stroking his face, and it was like, nah, I don't want to watch this movie, but it's really good.
Little baby Kirsten Dunst.
She won an award for that, right?
Did she?
Academy Award.
Jesus.
The big one for
And
being a
that-
little
do you-
baby.
Do
She's
you think
the
there's a
little creepy,
possibility to
yeah.
like rescind that now? They're like, we don't like where you're headed. We're gonna take that back.
Well, it's some comedian. I can't remember who it was, but some comedian did say that like when you're in a like a movie, you can't say Academy Award winner if it's been 20 years since you last won it.
Really?
Yeah,
That makes sense. That
It's
makes
like you
sense.
shouldn't be able to wear Academy Award winner Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Nope.
Starring in Spider-Man 3.
Yep.
I was gonna say didn't say that on any of Spider-Man movies. So.
True.
Thank God.
But then, so when you think it's going to be sexy, you get things like, I don't know if any of you have seen this, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
So we're spiraling out of control.
Okay,
and
well,
it is
that's-
whatever it wants to be.
They
Great
end,
movie.
They end up in a titty bar, like, so it's
Selma Hayek looks great.
Oh,
in
well,
that,
she
until
always-
she turns into
she's
a
like
toad
she's
demon.
pushing 50 now, and she
No, it's
still
a bat.
is a babe.
It's literally like it's bad like features on her face.
She's green though.
I'm just pointing out though.
Yeah, she yucky. But
Wait.
so I was just saying that's an explosion of just like, I mean, no one is arguing that Selma Hayek doesn't look great then and now.
Ever.
But I think things just got kind of crazy in the 90s, and it's kind of the tone that I'm getting at when we get to the 2000s too, is you get everything. Like, it's all there. You just have to look for it beyond. Twilight is selling 10 billion tickets.
I think late 90s and early 2000s, you get the, like, yeah, I mean, that's Rodriguez and Tarantino doing their thing. Just, like, going
Doing Rod-
way
oh,
over the top,
super
way
their
gory.
thing.
It's like, that's their wheelhouse. But in, like, late 90s, early 2000s, you get, Kate Beckinsale, why can't I think
Underworld.
of that? Underworld.
We're getting another one.
You get, like, that Matrix, black leather, sleek, sexy vampire thing.
Yep, that's a genre of it.
And all of a sudden, this is the
Also, she's the only sexy one, though.
hang on though. This is also true. This is also the era where, for all of a sudden, for some reason, all vampires know kung fu. Like from here on out in the
They're-
90s on, every vampire knows martial arts.
They're using
how?
that flying to their advantage.
Well, also, it opens up, like, Blade came out in the late 90s. Like,
As a movie.
everything's
As a
opened
movie.
up now.
The comic had been around since the 70s.
No, but I'm saying that, well, we're talking film.
Oh, right.
But you're right. But, like, everything's on the table now. And action movies are, if anybody knows the 90s, action movies are at a surplus.
Oh yeah.
So we're kind of just hitting, we're hitting everything. So if you want it, there's something there for you in terms
Yeah.
of those.
Including, I'm not going to say like the porn didn't take a dive necessarily. I'm sure there's still plenty of vampire porn.
You just got to Google it.
We'll go to our friend Preston Lee for that.
For porn or just vampire porn
Well,
exclusively?
no, just like looking at it. He knows the internet forwards and backwards.
Man's
That's
a, Man's a
impressive.
savant.
Porn may or may not be part of it.
So then we get to the 2000s where, like I said again, anything's on the table. You've got Underworld, but you've also got 30 Days of Night, which those vampires are not sexy at all. Great movie. You've got Daybreakers, Underworld again, Underworld another time.
Shadow
You've
of the
got Blade
Vampire.
still, Shadow of the Vampire, Van Helsing,
Yeah.
which I think
Yeah.
is a wildly underrated movie.
Those vampires weren't sexy.
Yes, those were
No,
totally
no,
sexy.
the girls were sexy.
The girls, you're right.
The
you're
girls
right.
were sexy.
and then they turned
That-
into not sexy vampires.
That Dracula
they're
was
still
very.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor too. I forget that guy. Richard something. I forget the guy's name.
Looking it up now.
Dreyfus.
Richard Dreyfuss as Dracula.
At a time, I'm gonna Google real quick, just for fun. Hold on, stand by.
Fan art of
Young
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Then you get Jaws, where he's got like a beard, and he's still like, no.
Richard Roxburgh.
That would not be a traditionally appealing vampire. I will give you that.
Is it Chris Pratt?
No, that's... You know what, though? Wow. Interesting. American Graffiti remake. Let's do Chris Pratt in that. Anyway, but then you get to and I'll give you guys the vote. Who is the sexiest vampire of all time? Joe knows who it is. Haven't talked about it yet.
Male or female?
Arguably, the best vampire movie of all time.
Male or female?
Male. Joe, bring it home for me, baby.
I'm assuming you're gonna go Gerard Butler.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dracula 2000.
2000. The start of a new decade.
New era?
New millennium, new century, new everything. And it starts out with the best. Gerard Butler in Dracula 2000. I would recommend. Have you seen it, Al?
I saw like the beginning of it, and I was like, this is too ridiculous. I can't finish
Have you not? It's
Here's
really
the thing,
good.
though, if you haven't finished it, and I won't say it on the cast, maybe you've even heard us talk about it. The twist in that movie,
Very compelling. I would say
grabs
the
you.
best.
It's
the best interpretation of a vampire. I love
I've ever
it.
heard.
Particularly for Dracula, with
Exactly.
like where the origin is from.
Okay.
What
Very
about Dracula
compelling.
Untold?
We never got
Oh,
to that.
yeah.
We keep saying we're gonna
I
watch that.
saw that
games
in the. Oh my god.
You saw it in theaters?
I did.
Well, apparently that's not part of the extended universe, though, now. I think they bumped it. They're going to see if the Tom Cruise Mummy movie can break out. Anyway, so that kind of leads me to where we are today. And again, reinforce my point. Like, all of the movies are out there. Again, even in TV, you have your mix. You have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where
Joe is our connoisseur.
vampires that aren't David Boreanaz are not sexy, but he is.
Arguably.
David Boreanaz is a good-looking guy. He's got a bit of a slouch. He doesn't have great posture, but he's a good-looking guy.
Spike's a great looking guy.
Yeah.
Yes, that bleach blonde hair. But then you also have TV shows that's going on right now with
The originals.
The
and
Strain.
Vampire
Vampires.
Diaries.
The Strain, which is
Vampire
really
Diaries.
good.
Anything
Vampire
on-
Diaries are sexy, but there's a mix. You can find what you want to find. You just have to be willing to look for
Anything
it
on CW.
and ignore what's popular. Because honestly,
You're
what's
not
what's popular is going to be the sexy stuff because people that watch TV are usually teens and young adults.
Yeah.
'Cause we
And
don't
then
have anything
also
to do.
stay-at-home moms who are bored and lonely.
Who are clinging to that young meat
Like a vampire.
like a vampire. So yeah, I think is my prognosis correct?
Like Scoo! It's Three Wise Radio!
The Chicago International Film Festival is this weekend. Why? I have no idea.
Is it really international if it's in Chicago?
It's
Well, people
international
can come
based
to it.
on the films they show. That is what determines whether or not the film festival is international. It's not where the film festival is held. I mean, think about Cannes, which I'll actually... our topic is going to be film festivals.
Is
Okay.
it Canes or is it pronounced
Cannes.
Cans?
Cans.
Be fancy, Joe.
Cannies?
I think it's definitely cannies.
I find it very redundant to have a local, but also have an international.
Well,
I mean,
no,
it's
that's where it's
Sundance
at.
Film Festival is local in the city it's in.
true.
Every place has to be local
that's
to
what I'm saying,
someone.
like Cannes. Is,
Why not? Why don't
or
we have a
Cannes-
fancy
what do
name
we-
for it then? That's,
I think
guess
it's
that's
Cannes.
what I should.
because it's not that big.
Well,
Okay.
then it's not international.
Cannes is but Cannes is a city in France.
Yeah.
It's basically like going to the Hamptons, and that is
Something
their
none of us can afford.
International Film Festival. So I mean, it's not just
Now,
Chicago. They're telling you where the film festival is located and then what type of film festival it is.
what if no one from another country shows up? Then is it just a French film festival? Or in our case, is it just a regular old
They get
Chicago
people with
Film
big
Festival?
Sharpies to Sharpie out inner, and then it's just National Film Festival.
And you're gonna have that no matter where you are. You have what you have.
Because going off on a tangent, if Donald Trump is elected, that very well might be a possibility. Like people from other countries are like, nope, not coming to this film festival now. Now it's just a national.
Most of the film festivals are in other countries, so I think we'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah. The biggest one in America is Sundance, but we'll get to that in a second. Cannes is the actual first film festival I can find. Started way back in 1932, and
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time, of course.
God damn it.
And it's actually going to celebrate its it's close. So 70th anniversary.
Damn.
So what's 70 next year? What's 17 minus 70?
17 minus 70.
Yeah, okay, 2017.
53.
Okay, so 2017 minus 70.
Negative
God,
52.
Thank God for you, Sam. Thank God for you.
Side note, I may or may not have been Googling biggest movies out of Cannes, and the first thing that pops up when you put biggest movies out of C is biggest movies out of Cameron Diaz. So do with that what you will.
Okay.
You could have a whole topic on just what is the first thing to come up when you Google what
Sure,
you're
I'm
trying
sure
to
that's already a podcast.
But anyway, Cannes is pretty much, and it's still one of the most major ones that is known today. Like, you always see this one get
All the big awards.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say like big
All the
awards. Like,
prestige.
yeah, like if you know of like a foreign film,
It came out.
those are the ones that have subtitles for those playing along at home. It came from Cannes.
Yeah, if it's got that name, and then I think Sundance is up there now. If it's got those names attached to it, people are like, oh.
Well, Sundance is interesting. I'll get to Sundance in a second. Because Sundance was originally started in 78, and it was just the Utah Film Festival. Okay?
And then Robert Redford got involved?
Well, he was already on the board. But he had his thing for filmmakers called the Sundance Institute. And that had become a big enough name by, I believe, 1984 that they changed it to Sundance Film Festival.
Gotcha.
And in 1984, this is the type of movies you would have seen had you gone... Oh, no, I'm sorry. 1978, the original Utah Film Festival. I wanted to say that lineup. 78, the original Utah Film Festival lineup. Deliverance, A Streetcar Named Desire, Midnight Cowboy, Mean Streets, and The Sweet Smell of Success.
Never heard of any of those.
Those were all film festival movies?
Those were all the original Sundance Film Festival movies.
Wow.
That's what I'm getting
From,
at.
the
Is
Utah Film Festival.
there's a ton of movies that
Now, there's a reason for that.
money,
Someone take the lead here.
money.
Well, it goes like that because it used to be prior to 1994, which there's a thing with that.
Okay.
Before 1994, you went to Sundance to show off your movies. You went to film festivals to show off your movies. You didn't go to a festival hoping to be bought by a company. So it's like you didn't make a movie, take it to a festival, or enter it to win into a festival and hope that you get picked up. It was studios entering films into a festival to generate buzz about their upcoming releases.
Interesting.
Okay.
Which is why you have a lineup like that when it's the very first one in 78.
When did Air Force One come out?
Not then, and not from a film festival.
Damn it.
It came out in
Missed the boat.
97. But because of that, it all changes in 1994 with a film called, ironically not Clerks, Go Fish. Go Fish is the first film ever. It's about a young lesbian couple in Chicago.
Why is that ironic?
Oh, yeah, I'm failing to see the irony.
I think.
Is it ironic in the sense that you thought it was Clerks and found out it wasn't?
No, I knew it wasn't Clerks. I knew it wasn't Clerks.
Then what about it is ironic?
That were from Chicago.
That's not ironic.
I don't
That's
know.
coincidental.
Yeah.
It's ironic to some songwriters and people that don't know what that means.
Irony is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the first one, and then Clerks the next day.
Yes.
Yes,
Fuck Alanis Morissette.
If you're listening, we're all huge fans. Don't listen to Sam.
she's God.
Name another song.
I don't know.
Yeah.
One hand in my pocket.
Yeah, that's one.
Well, if anyone's gonna get it, it's gonna be Joe.
Anyway, no, you got me on Alanis Morissette. Anyway, so Go Fish is the first one that's actually sold at a film festival, and then Clerks the next day becomes the second. But it was because these two films got invited on their own. They were independent filmmakers that entered into Sundance, into Sundance, and got picked up. That other people started to do that. So it became Sundance is where you go
To get picked up now.
if you're an American. Cannes is where you go if you're an international film.
If you're not an American.
If you're a studio still just trying to show off your showcase films, you go to Toronto. Because think about any major release you've seen goes to the Toronto Film Festival.
Independence Day.
Now, okay.
Resurgence.
No, but
Air Force One.
will you give me a second here? Let me read this list to you. So these are all films that won the Toronto Film Festival. Chariots of Fire, The Big Chill, Life is Beautiful, American Beauty, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Slumdog Millionaire, Eastern Promises, Hotel Rwanda, The King's Speech, Silver Linings Playbook, 12 Years a Slave, The Imitation Game, Room.
Damn.
The Room.
Not The Room, just Room. So you go, those are a lot of well-known films. So now it becomes like, depending on what type of film you have and where it's coming from.
I don't know what that is. Don't worry about that. That's just a thing.
This show was going so much smoother when you were doing it.
Yeah, that's your fault.
No.
So depending on where you're wanting to go, what kind of film you have.
Yes, depending on where you want to go or what you have, that is the film festival that you get entered into. It's no longer and it's never really been. That's the funny thing. Make a film, throw it out there to everyone, and see what happens.
Was that a drug deal I just witnessed?
What just happened?
He just realized he had my tips in his pocket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a time and place,
Sorry.
gentlemen. Right now, we're being prestigious and talking about film festivals.
Yeah, for those of you listening at home, money just changed hands between Garrett and Joan. It was a very shisty dealing.
Could have been an exchange of goods and or services. The services is what I'm worried about.
I don't know what's going on beneath this table.
It is a big table.
It's a big table.
Let's get back on track, Joe, to film festivals. This is a very sexy podcast this week.
Hey, that's my job.
You have a list, didn't you, or something? Because that's where I was going to go to and segue until I got distracted by the exchange of money.
What was it?
And or services.
My thing was just I wanted to see what movies I didn't know came from film festivals came from film festivals. Because, as I've stated before, we all know that Little Miss Sunshine came from a film festival. Because it's a movie that screams, this was in a film festival.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie. It's a great movie, but it is what it is.
It's got like all the notes.
So one that I didn't know that I guess really exploded his career, Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
Film festival.
That's a Tarantino thing, yeah.
Sundance.
Which is why, actually, that's funny.
Yes.
It's funny because that's the reason Clerks goes to Sundance and gets bought by Miramax, is because Harvey Weinstein put a lot of faith in Tarantino and actually took the Tarantino movie to Sundance and is like, oh, this up-and-coming filmmaker can do it. Maybe this one can as well, and then buys Clerks the following year. And Miramax starts their line for a while of having like independent, like prestigious, kind of like well-known, critically acclaimed films.
Interesting.
Right on.
Okay.
The other one that I didn't know, which thinking about it now makes it seem like it would, but horror movies are so cheap, you wouldn't think that they would go to film festivals. Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch.
League of Their Own.
No, the one that's all filmed inside the house. I'm blanking so hard.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah,
Which
Paranormal
house?
Activity.
No.
I'm pretty sure was one of them. There's another one. Anything that looks like a found footage film normally winds up at a film festival.
But that's also the thing is that's such a saturated market now that it doesn't seem that way. But you have to remember that it had to start somewhere.
Right.
The other one that I have, Usual Suspects.
I did not know that one.
Sundance, which boosted whose career? You always forget that this was the director.
Bryan
of that movie.
Singer. That's his
Bryan
first movie.
Singer.
Very first
Ridiculous. But I saw that was one of the biggest ones. We all know Napoleon Dynamite, which just, God, how much did that sweep the nation?
Too much.
Yeah. Every high school douchebag.
You would
was
argue
quoting
too
that
much,
movie.
but I'm fairly certain that you were all quoting it at some point.
Nope.
No.
Never?
No.
I still have never seen that movie all the way through.
I had to
Never?
watch that movie as part of it was like the last day of school, and we watched.
Ooh.
I had two periods with the same teacher, and
Here you go.
we watched it.
Listen to the
straight.
Sundance lineup from 2001.
Okay.
American Psycho, Donnie Darko, Memento, Super Troopers.
Johnny
Troopers.
Darko, definitely one that's obviously from a film festival, and I would even say Memento to an extent because it was before Chris Nolan was
Chris
Nolan.
Nolan.
I would say
Super
American-
Troopers?
I would say American Psycho, which is the way that it's like laid out and everything.
Tries to feed a cat to an ATM. I don't know if that's.
I mean, I
if
think-
that's Sundance worthy.
It was.
Apparently, yes, it was. But
But Super Troopers?
Super Troopers, I do not see.
No, I remember that. Super Troopers, they billed that as like, this was like the, because it wasn't Memento. Like, I didn't hear about Memento until after it came out on DVD.
Right.
It wasn't Memento. It wasn't, it wasn't none of those other movies, but it was Super Troopers. I was like, this is the one that's like doing it. Like this is the one, like, this is the independent film you have to see.
What else I've got? Desperado, if you remember that. Antonio Banderas, and as we've discussed, the always lovely
Which is
Salma Hayek
actually a remake sequel.
of Desperado.
Desperado is a remake sequel of El Mariachi.
Oh, nice.
Which was also Sundance, if I'm not mistaken.
El Mariachi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only know that because I tried to Google list, but I only have a phone, and I came up with one list, and El Mariachi was on that list. So I know
Nice.
things
Well done.
conveniently.
This one kind of makes sense based on what it is, but this is just a movie that I love so much that I would highly recommend if you haven't seen it. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes.
Val Kilmer, Robert Downey Jr. Very compelling.
Shane Black, the guy who just did The Nice Guys, and Iron Man 3. He directed that movie. That's a great movie.
Yep.
Fifth Element
Yes.
Really?
from
Also-
Cannes.
yeah.
Cannes.
Really?
Cannes. I think it's Cannes. I'm trying to remember. Literally, I'm trying to remember from Entourage. I think it's Cannes. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Element.
That's kind of an obvious one, isn't it?
But Fifth Element, I need to.
That,
I need
but
to
that
dwell
makes
on
sense
for
for
a
that
second.
one. Like, had you told me Sundance, I would have been like, nah. But for some reason, I see that being.
No, that's Cannes.
Yeah,
I know, so I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
it's just weird enough.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's see what else we've got. Taxi Driver.
Which one?
Is there another one?
Yeah, there's the one with Robert
Robert De Niro.
and there was the one with
No.
Justin Long, wasn't it?
Think of Jimmy Fallon.
You talking
calls
about
Taxi.
Taxi with Queen
Queen
Latifah?
Yeah.
No,
No,
not
it's just-
that one.
That's just taxi. Is that taxi cab or is
No,
that just
I think
taxi?
Taxi Driver.
No.
I think it's just called Taxi.
It's just called Taxi. That one's just called
Okay.
Taxi.
Never
And then
mind.
I think that one
I
should
stand
have
corrected.
gone to a film festival. That way, that people would have just realized it was bad and they wouldn't have done a release. Last up, Drive,
yeah.
Yeah,
Pulp
sense.
Fiction,
Yep.
and Mad Max Fury Road.
Huh.
Interesting. Was
I
that
buy-
one
I
like
buy
in
it. I
Toronto
believe
or
it.
was that like at Sundance?
That was Cannes.
Okay, cool.
Interesting. Yeah. Some noticeable ones that you'll say these you'll think right away. Film festival. Garden State.
Yep.
Yep.
Saved.
Oh, art. The Saved is a great movie.
It actually really is. The Butterfly Effect.
Yeah.
It's essentially that's just kind of wanted to get across is when you think of a film festival movie, you think of this movie is about more than just the movie.
There's more some existential thought
Yeah,
to it.
it's deeper than what you think it is, but that's not the case. That's not the case. Always.
Well, film festivals, I think, or like how they should be, is a chance for filmmakers to not necessarily test the boundaries, express themselves. Don't make it sound douchey.
Don't sound so hoity-toity.
Yes, I'm trying to make a serious point there. This is a place where filmmakers should be able to test out new ideas or try new techniques in terms of filming, in terms of screenwriting, like in everything. And sometimes that comes across as like hoity-toity or blah blah blah. But like,
It's matching very well with the sweater you have on right now.
I know.
Congratulations, you're all well-dressed guinea pigs. That's basically what someone should walk out before every film and say.
I guess it's just not my scene. Because honestly, Garden State, nah. Zach Braff is great, but like, nah.
Not for you, but like there
There are people that-
large amount of people that love.
There's tons of people that
And
love
also
it.
think about Pulp Fiction, like that launched, or not Pulp Fiction,
Reservoir
Dogs. That launched
Dogs.
Tarantino. Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. Is there's different elements, and you have to be able to go through both. And I don't know. Hoop Dreams was in Cannes Film Festival. If anybody's seen Hoop Dreams, if you want to be inspired, watch Hoop Dreams. It's a couple of Chicagoans playing basketball. It's like Remember the Titans, but real. It's not at all like Remember the Titans.
Was real.
Yeah, well, it was based on a true story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know.
So
Someone's
what
got
did
to
we?
lead this.
So what did we
discussion.
learn? Anything?
I didn't think we were trying to learn something from this. I thought we were just like talking about stuff that's come out of film festivals.
Because everyone on the internet loves our opinions.
We already learned about like sexy vampires.
Then that is more important.
Yeah, we did.
Welcome to Hotel 3 Wise Radio Castle.
Hotel Castle.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll cut that one.
100%.
We'll cut that one.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing your interest, or we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest?
Piquing your interest.
Possibly that.
What's piquing my interest? Sam kind of ruined it for you guys. Sorry. Sigourney Weaver has been cast as the villain for the new Defenders series on Netflix.
That's dumb.
Really? You think that's dumb?
What's she gonna do? Okay.
So,
Whatever.
rumors are that the main villain's going to be Mephisto. Mephisto.
So she's Mephisto?
I mean, Mephisto's a character that could take on a female persona. Yeah.
I could totally see Sigourney Weaver as Mephisto. Oh, that'd be good.
Hell yeah.
That would be good.
Okay.
So
my only issue is that in the last 10 to 5 years, we'll go closer to 5 years, whenever Sigourney Weaver has been in things, it's been, oh, Sigourney Weaver's in this. Honestly, I can't think of a movie that she's starred in over the last 5 years, but I can think of 3 or so that it's been like, hey, look, we got Sigourney Weaver playing Sigourney Weaver as somebody. So when I see her in this, I'm going to be like, hey, Sigourney, what you doing? Being Sigourney Weaver, great. She's awesome. She's super cool. But over the last 5 years, I think she's oversaturated herself with extended cameo appearances that kind of ruin her validity.
Okay, so then I may have an argument against this. What is the role again she's playing?
So it hasn't been confirmed what role she has been.
Right.
But she has been announced as the villain for the Defender series. It has been rumored that Mephisto is going to be the villain. I put 2 and 2 together.
What if Mephisto is Sigourney Weaver?
Like she's playing herself?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense because it's not. Yeah.
Why not?
Okay. Sure. If that's the route they want to go down after they've culminated all of their shows, sure. But again, like, you click on the link for every episode, and this is literally what every single person has said every time they've cast Sigourney Weaver. Marvel is honored to have an actress of her caliber and status join a show. Sigourney Weaver. What more is there to say? That doesn't ride for infinity. No. Like, that can't just be a thing forever. It gets old.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, superheroes get old. This thing will reboot itself or stop at some point.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's like
I like it. I want to see what she can do in a television series.
Yeah, maybe. I just think there's a steep road to climb for me.
You're worried that there's too much hype right now because of it?
I'm not worried there's too much hype, but I can't remember seeing Sigourney Weaver in anything over the last 5 to 10 years besides like Avatar, where it's been like, hey, we got Sigourney Weaver because nerds like Sigourney Weaver, so we'll just shove it down their throat. Like, that's what it has felt like over the last 10 years. So when I see her cast in things, I'm not impressed anymore because it keeps happening.
Okay. I'll give you that.
My interest is not peaked.
Okay, that's fine.
My interest is actually valid, which is down in terms of peaking.
What do you got then?
What's piquing my interest?
Yeah.
I gotta pull myself out of this mild
Piquing your
depression.
interest.
I think I was giving Joe enough time to try and look up what Sigourney Weaver's been in the last 10 years, but I don't think he's pulling anything together. So I'll just go. Piquing my interest, Logan. They got rid of the title Old Man Logan for the movie, and it is now being just titled Logan. And I don't know, has everybody seen the poster for it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's subtle, but it's real nice.
Pull it up.
Damn it. Essentially, so they came out with stuff while Garrett's pulling it up. Essentially, they came out with a poster, and also there was a page of script with a foreword from the director. Oh my God, who's the director? James Mangold?
Yes.
Which is basically just kind of depicting a scene where Logan kills a bunch of people, and it's basically his healing effect is starting to wear off, and he's countering the constant pain. That one. Countering the constant pain with alcoholism. And they also showed an image of Professor X, who in his old age, his powers are also starting to wane, and he's getting Alzheimer's. So he's like forgetting who he is. No. So it's gonna feel like a character piece. But he also, in his story, in the preface of the script, he's like, this isn't a fucking movie where people are jumping off 2-story buildings and not dying. Like, right. This is good. This is gonna be not like the Wolverine where there was some death. Like, this is being taken 100% seriously. It's gonna be rough and tumble. And then they tweeted an image of a severed arm holding a shotgun, just laying on the floor all bloody. And they're like, "This is what we're talking about. Like, if a car gets thrown at somebody, it's gonna crush them onto the floor." And I just like the idea of this relationship between Xavier and Wolverine, and it's coming from. The Wolverine wasn't it was like kind of in a dark place. Like, oh, Jean Grey's lost. Like, this looks like it's going to be coming from a completely desolate, emotionless place where everybody's at their bottom, and it's almost like it's the last ride. Gotcha. Which I think just pairs perfectly well with where Hugh Jackman's at with with Wolverine, I'm super excited for this movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely jumped a ton of other films in terms of what I'm most excited for within the next 2 years.
I also just found a poster. I mean, obviously it's fake, but it says Old Man Logan,
With
and then
Clint?
it's Clint Eastwood with the claws. It's pretty good. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, but there was just something about the simplicity of that poster of just his arm that hasn't healed but is all bloody and beaten being held by like a child's hand. I think I'm super stoked.
Al, what's piquing your interest?
I honestly forgot that
You
did this segment.
forgot?
I dropped the ball. I dropped lay ball. No. What's piquing my interest is Luke Cage, because I once again have dropped the ball and not watched a single episode since it's come out. But I'm gonna start doing that. Let's see, I got the next 2 days off, so I'm about to start that, and I'm pretty fucking stoked. That, and then also like a quick throw in November, Fantastic Beasts comes out. Still looking forward to that.
Where do you find those?
It's not new news, but still looking forward to it. What's up?
Where do you find those?
Find what?
Fantastic Beasts?
Well, that's what I'm paying the ticket price to find out, Sam.
I'm actually not that excited about it.
Well, once again, not your piquing of interest. This is just me.
That's fair.
What's
Joe, what's piquing your interest?
What's piquing my interest this week is actually comic book television. More news coming out. This is what I was looking up earlier in the cast. To come out of New York Comic Con, since we've even started the cast, apparently. Number one, Marvel's going to be doing a new Spider-Man animated show, which means Ultimate Spider-Man's coming to an end early next year.
It's already ended.
It's ending. The last episode will end with a episode called Graduation Day in January 2017.
Oh. Huh.
So...
Not as big a Spider-Man fan as you thought, Garrett?
And then they're going to come out with a new one, of course, to like kind of symbolize the new Spider-Man or whatever that's going to be in film.
Gotcha.
And secondly, Andrew Kreisberg, is that how you say the Arrow guy's name?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Cannies?
It came out and stated Supergirl, while joining the Arrow universe, is in quotations because she will exist on her different Earth throughout the entire year.
What?
So even when they're doing the four-part crossover event, it's going to take place on two different Earths. She's
What?
not going to come into the Arrowverse.
So then where'd Cat Grant go?
Budget still. I mean it.
Also, people have been saying that in trailers and teasers and stuff, like Martian Manhunter doesn't look as good. Like, I think it's already hitting. Yeah, money is a powerful tool.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer.
So yeah, so that's what's piquing my interest. If you disagree with anything Sam did not like piquing his interest-wise, you can let us know about it. And there's many different ways you can do so. You can email us at 3wiseradio@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at 3wiseradio / #3wiseradio. Or you can find us on Instagram at 3wiseradio or on Facebook at 3wisemedia. It's going to do it for us this week. Join us next week when we have our 50th episode.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My God.
Nice.
Al will be back for another installment in the horror series, and
Yeah,
we'll have two other guest stars. Oh, well, we'll be doing Inferno,
With the
Yep.
movie train.
the movie train.
Also, Alex, next week's going to be Sexy Zombies.
Hell
Is
yeah.
it really going to be sexy zombies?
It is not.
And we'll have a mystery guest to try and tell us who is the most likable actor in Hollywood, other than Tom Hanks.
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.